I hope you have watched the previous 3 chapters of my journey to Nova Scotia back in 2013. If not, I will post some links so you can go back and start the series. Last episode, I spent the night in New Brunswick, and then I got up the next morning and rolled up the coast into Nova Scotia and made a few stops along the way. The seemingly endless landscape was devoid of vehicles, but I did happen upon this couple that was probably going in the same direction I was. Fundy National Park. I had hoped to visit the national park and get out on what is known as Hopewell Rocks. Accesses the coastline, but as the tide was coming in when I arrived, I had another several hours wait, so I decided to skip this spectacle and carry on down the coast to a small fishing village known as Alma. As I rolled into the fishing village of Alma, I realized that this was most likely the source of my inspiration. My childhood imagination was awoken after seeing pictures of this fishing village in the magazine. How could a tide leave fishing boats resting on their sides? I think back in the 70s when I read the first article, the boats were laying on their side. It looked like they'd been washed on shore by a tsunami. And it really did capture my attention, and it's the basis of why I rode up here. I always wanted to see the highest tides in the world. And in Alma, you can see that. I believe the average height of the tide is 25 to 30 feet in this area. And you can see it's pretty amazing, even at low tide. Made it to Nova Scotia. I just crossed the, I don't know what they call it, the inlet at the very tip of the Bay of Fundy. I went through that. Stopped here in Oxford, Nova Scotia, and as you can see, the big blueberry behind me. This is the blueberry capital of Nova Scotia. And that is their mascot, Oxley, behind me. And they love it so much they put it beside a gas station. Convenience store. Anyway, I'm headed to Halifax because I don't know where else to go. Annapolis Valley, apple orchards. I don't know. I'm just riding, see what I can see. So far the ride's been great. It's been the warmest, since the sun's gone down, it's been the warmest weather that I've had in 3 days. My last rain-free night was spent camping in the wilderness between Oxford and Halifax, Nova Scotia. Cold rain, beautiful scenery, kept company by my friend Lucky the Lobster. After finding this beach at low tide, the urge became overwhelming. I had to make an attempt to ride across the beach. This may be my last opportunity. The flat river stones held up well until I was 30 yards from the mud. Then I realized this was just a thin layer of stone on top of a thick layer of sand. Not beach sand, dune sand, deep dune sand. My rear wheel quickly disappeared beneath the sand. As I throttled out, the rear wheel disappeared deeper into the sand. Time to unload. Time to rethink my stupidity. Time to get my motorcycle and my gear out beneath the crashing waves that would soon be covering my bike. Lucky for me, some tourist from Quebec wandered in to see what a redneck from Alabama was trying to do on the beach. The man and his wife quickly agreed to help as soon as I got my gear unpacked. They helped push my bike with me on the throttle all the way to the top of the hill.
Seemed like a really good idea at the time. Man.
I should have helped you at least get down to the sand, right?
Well, you were here.
It seems ridiculous now, looking back on it, that I could have gotten myself into that situation. But I've always looked for that opportunity, and this was one of those opportunities. I have no regrets, mainly because I saved my bike, or at least my tourist buddies helped me save my bike. And this, so far, I had accomplished all my goals, and I could have turned around and went back. But I decided to head towards the tip of Nova Scotia, and that's what I did. Wound up in a town called Digby for a couple of days and did some exploring around the area, and all that is to come in the next chapter. I hope to see you then.